Hi everyone and welcome back to episode 3. This is our final episode on the Ghost Walks video series. In this episode, John from Escape Youth Interventions will tell us the history of South Tyneside's oldest and spookiest pub, the Alum House. And finally, along the waterfront to the Customs House, where Ray Spencer will reveal their ghosts and tell you what our volunteers mean to him.
Hello everyone, I'm John from Escape Interventions. Welcome to the Alum House, South Shields, which is one of the oldest licensed premises in the borough, with parts of it dating back to the 17th century. The pub stands next to what was the Alum House, where sculler boatmen ferried passengers across the Tyne, not far from where our present ferry landing is now. As you would expect in a building of such antiquity and historical importance, there are stories of lots of paranormal activity over the years, and the Alum House is reputedly home to 6 ghosts. They have Giggling Meg, a lady of the night, who resided in the rooms in days gone by. A splendidly dressed Victorian gentleman in tailcoat who dons his top hat as he leaves the building. A grey lady who it is thought that might be one of the guests who attended the launch of a steamship nearby in 1914. There is Charlie, who sometimes appears in the cellar and is full of mischief. A phantom barman who used to enjoy knocking the bottles off the shelves, and a phantom who is at home in the cupboard with the cleaning equipment. The Alum House today has a warm and welcoming atmosphere. They serve a host of superb well-kept real ales, and you can enjoy a drink in the modern outside area overlooking the Tyne. You can understand why the Shields folk of centuries ago still like to pay a visit to the tavern they know and loved. We have a rich history here in South Tyneside, and the Alum House is up there with the best of them.
So, behind me is the old river police and port sanitation officers on the banks of the River Tyne. And some years ago I met one of the former sergeants who worked for the river police, who told me one of his jobs used to be to go out in a launch and find bodies of people who might have fallen in or had jumped in the River Tyne a couple of days before. And he'd wait on the tide for their body to come down the river. And if he found that body and dragged it out the river, he'd get a whole shilling. But if he took it to the place behind me, which used to be the old mortuary for South Shields, and he took it into the post-mortem room, and he stood there while the post-mortem was done in this very building, he would get half a crown. So this is the main house of the Customs House, and as you can see, the theatre without people is just a big black box, filled with ghosts of many performers and many audiences. And some months ago, when we had a paranormal investigation in this very room, just along from where we're sitting, sat Jimmy, our theatre ghost. We hope to see you soon back here, Jimmy and everybody else. You may not know, but our administrative offices are behind me, and often I would stay overnight, usually writing the pantomime. And I remember leaving my office early in the morning, sort of 4 a.m, getting into a car that I'd parked here and driving down this lane. And just as I passed that door, there was a hooded figure standing. I stopped the car, I reversed back up the lane, and I couldn't see that hooded figure. I checked round the building. The figure had vanished. And it reminded me of a previous year when I sat in my office up there typing the pantomime, and I could hear footsteps outside the office door. I got up thinking somebody might still be working, couldn't see anybody, shut the door, and then this footsteps started again. It was really irritating me. So I opened the door and I shouted, "Please, I have a panto rehearsal in the morning. I haven't finished the script. Can you go away?" And they did. Some brilliant ghost stories from some of the venues across the borough. And speaking of venues, many of them wouldn't open the doors without your support. You see, what you do is magic. You volunteer. You give your time to others. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for what you've done during this pandemic, because without you, our community couldn't have got through it. You made sure people didn't feel alone. You made sure people got the prescriptions. You made sure that people were fed. You made sure people knew that you cared for them. Thanks for what you do. Please keep doing it. Together we'll get through this, and there will be better days. Keep safe.
Thank you so much for joining us through our Ghost Walk series. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the stories and learning about the fantastic history around South Tyneside, the place we call home.